Okay, so first off, I'm not a rapper, I'm not a poet, I've never done spoken word before, ever. But I literally just wrote this morning out of an abundance of need, just to say something. So, here is a modern day dream. In 1776 we arrived. I guess we awoke, rather awoke to the precipice of equality. We peered over the edge at the promised land, looked behind us at our mess, and avowed that all were owed life, all were owed liberty, all could chase happiness. But 84 years later, we espouse that this land we lived on was established only by whites. Whites who only just found this land and only then declared it found. Native Americans, who? They're nothing to us. That's like coming into my living room and declaring yourself a discoverer or some kind of an explorer. That's so Columbus. 84 years after our first peak over the precipice, our humanity, our dignity, our word, we berate and instead declare that Africans are inferior and slavery is the only way we can possibly tolerate. 1863, yes, 1863. Honest Abe emancipates slaves. And by slaves, we mean some slaves. And by some, we mean those who were beholden to the enemy. Not all were declared free, but some. It was political at first, a military move. It was hardly a fix, but it was a start. A start after our first start when we first claimed to wake in 1776. Our nation got the 13th in 1865, which would later require the 14th, which would then need the 15th, but none of those would count, not really, until 1875. And all that to prop up what we had said nearly 90 years ago when we first went live. It took us 8 whole years to see the error of our ways. The error of equality, that is. And so once again, we pushed bodies in the way. 7 years after that, hatred continued to flow, but to stifle any hope, we brought in the laws of old Jim Crow. 1954, Oliver Brown. The Warren Court held that segregation in schools was finally actually going down. Could this be hope? Could this be actual change? Could this really erase the train track line? The next 3 years would be hard and hateful with our own Clinton 12 and the Little Rock 9. 63 rolls around again. 100 years since emancipation. Surely we're different. Surely we've changed. Dogs, fire hoses, and silence. Still just more of the same. But once again, we find ourselves on the precipice, looking over, teetering dangerously close, flirting with freedom. It could feel so close and so far, it would seem. But one man had seen the mountaintop, and he had a dream. 90 years after the first Civil Rights Act, and 100 past 13, Black people could vote for the first time after a case in Virginia because Martin had a dream. The march continued, albeit uphill, 68, 74, 88, and still it's not ancient history. Let us not be fools. In 2002, a Harvard study concluded that resegregation was sweeping our schools. 2016, Cleveland, Mississippi. 62 years after Oliver Brown, the schools are ordered to desegregate. That wrong side of the track still ran right through the middle of town. In 2017, 241 years after our alleged awakening, the Klan and the Nazis march in an attempt to remind those not like them of their place. They march against blacks and Jews, immigrants and refugees, the tired, the poor, and the huddled masses who are still longing to breathe free.